In this video today we're going to be learning how to cut and sew this shirt gown, and this is so simple to make, so you stay tuned and watch to the end of this video. So to do this, I have this fabric folded into two, then I'll fold into another two, okay, so I can have four folds. So I'll go ahead and mark my 2.5 for my neck width, and then come down by 1.5 for my neck depth. All right, and I'll go ahead and mark that and curve that out. All right, now don't forget that I have an extension of about 2 inches, and this is for my buttonhole and my buttonhole case. All right, so from the point where I folded, not from the buttonhole case, I just marked my shoulder measurement, and that's it. I came down by 1 inch, that's for my shoulder slant. One, I'll connect it to my neck width, okay, to my neck measurement. I'll just connect it, and that's pretty much. Please forgive that this fabric is white and the chalk is not very too visible. It's not very visible, please. Okay, so I came down by 8 inches for my armhole. Just follow me step by step, you will understand everything. This shirt is so simple to sew. So I'll go ahead and get the midpoints after around that armhole, and then come out. This is just for my armhole curve, you know. This is just practical sewing for my armhole curve. I came out by 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead and measure my waist measurement, that's my half length measurement. I want to know where my half length is, then I'll measure out the circumference of my half length. All right, I'll just go ahead and measure this out. Whatever I have, I'll be adding my sewing allowance, but before that I'll still go ahead and measure out my bust measurement for this shirt. I marked 12.5. This is plus my sewing allowance. All right, so just take your own measurement and measure it out. Add about 1.5 inches for your sewing allowance, or 2 inches, okay, but at least just have up to one inch or 1.5 to 2 inches for your sewing allowance. All right, so I came down from that point 6 inches from my waist area to mark out my hip. All right, so I'll start from this point so I can measure out the circumference of my hip, and then I marked the circumference of my hip plus my sewing allowance, and then I'll connect that same line from that my hip line down to the length of this shirt gown. Is that simple? And once you're done with that, all you have to do now is to cut out. But at this point I wanted to have a bit of a C curve at this point, so I just kept my tape this way and marked 2 inches and then curved it. If you have a curved rule, you can just simply use your curved rule at this point. Okay, there is no much mass there, so just curve it the best way that you want it to look like when you are wearing the shirt. All right, so I'll just go ahead and then cut out the rest of my body measurement. Don't forget that you have to check the length of your shirt. I already did mine, that's why I didn't place emphasis on that. Please ensure that when you're folding, that you ensure that you have your shirt length on this fabric, okay, and cut it out. So this is me just cutting out this fabric. So now at this point, I don't forget that I already marked 2 inches at this point for my buttonhole and button allowance. Okay, so I'll just fold this in, just double fold. Okay, to that point where I notched, I will fold it, and then I'll run a stitch all the way down. I'll form this casing for my buttonhole and for my button, for my buttons as well, so that I can place. This will be my buttonhole allowance. All right, so I will sew that. I will go ahead and then cut out the length of the sleeve length and the sleeve of the shirt. So I already have a drafted pattern. If you have a drafted pattern that is your size, I don't, in fact, having patterns to clothes helps you to cut fabrics faster. All right, so if you have a drafted pattern, I already made a video on how to cut out this shirts, this sleeve drafted patterns. So if this is what you're interested to learn how to do, please check out for the video in this channel. You will see this video on how to draft this sleeve. Okay, now for this buttonhole case, from I'll place the 2 points together and keep my tape around my neck width, okay, that point where it started from, and slant it to get the 4 inches. All right, if that's going to be too difficult for you to do, you can just come down by 1 inch. All right, and that's it. I'll just come down by 1 inch, that's all. Now after I've already done that, I will now place each of those sides, right sides facing each other, that's front to front, and on each side. All right, so once I place this like this, you can see the way I placed mine. I will just stitch the shoulder, and then I'll do the same thing for this other side and stitch the shoulder. After this, I'll quickly measure the circumference of my neck. All right, of the neck circumference of this shirt, the neck area of the shirt. So let me just quickly do that so that you can see how it's been done. I'll start from this point where I have the casing for my buttons and my buttonhole. All right, I'll start from this point and then measure all the way carefully. Measure. You can even do it twice to be on the safe side. So I have 18 inches, sorry, 18 and a half. You can, it depends. If you don't want your neck area to, your neck circumference to reach 18, it all depends on not reducing that your neck depth by 1 inch or by 1.5. It depends on what you want. Now I measured out these two different fabrics, and then I measured that 10 inches. This is, I have two different pieces on this, on fold. I measured 10 inches. Okay, and this 10 inches, 9 inches means 18, that means this 10 inches is 20. So for my neck width, I'll be having 2 inches. Okay, so I just measured 2.5. So at the end of the day, when I'm done sewing, I'll have less than 2 inches. All right, so now after I already measured that point, that other one to be 12, that's 10 inches. So when I'm done sewing, everything will still reduce because I'll be sewing with sewing allowance. All right, so I'm going to cut out this other collar. This will be the one that will be sitting on the collar rest. All right, so I folded it. I wanted to mark it on the fabric, but I changed my mind, so it to be clearer here. So I have this paper and I'm folding into two. Okay, and then I'll measure the width. Okay, the width of this to be 10 inches. Don't forget that this side of the collar is supposed to be shorter than the one lower. Okay, so I have 3 inches for the length, that's for the depth of this collar. But when I'm done sewing, definitely it will reduce. Even before I'm done cutting, it will reduce. But I'm just marking 3 inches. Just follow me, it's not that confusing. It's not even it's very simple. So I just marked 3 inches all through. I want to cut it out. This side of the collar is usually at least 1.5 inches shorter than the collar rest. Okay, so I have this now. This side that is on fold, this side that is on fold, you know, one side is open. I'll be measuring out 2.5 inches. Okay, and then at this point I already marked out where I want the length of this collar to be. Now look at the way I'm doing it. I just want to have 9 inches here. Okay, so I marked at 9 inches, and at this point I have 9.5. That means the one on top is ½ inch bigger than the one below. All right, I'm just marking it again for emphasis. So I'll connect with a slanted line. Okay, just this way, simple. Now I will also connect with a line, but a curved line or a slopy line. If you have your curved ruler, you can still use it for this part. Now I'm just trying to connect from this point to that 1/2. Alright, that means this point is 3 inches while the midpoint is 2.5. I'll cut this out so you can see how the collar looks like. This is for the collar that is on top. The one be under doesn't have much work to do, unless, in fact, it doesn't have much work to do. Now this is the collar unfold and this is it opened up. You can see that it's a bit curved towards that midpoint. All right, so I'm going to be placing this paper on my fabric so I can cut it out perfectly. I kept this paper on a fold and you can see that my material is on a fold as well. Please take a good look at how I folded this. Okay, you can see this upper side has has not been cut, but if it has been cut on your own part, is no issue because I'll still be cutting it out as well. So I'll just trim out all this with this shape. All right, so this is the collar. Now go into the sewing of this collar. Now to do this, I have to cut this into two. No, let me show you the part that I'm cutting it into so you don't get me wrong, please. I want to divide this upper part into two because mine was folded. Okay, if yours is not folded, it's still okay. So me, I just divided so I can have two different pieces of this particular collar. All right, now I have two different pieces. I'm going to be joining them. Okay, I'm going to be joining it all the way back. Now I'm just trying to explain to you that if you want to have the top part curved as well, it's still optional. Now I'm going to be joining these two collars like this. Okay, this is the top part of this collar. Now after joining it, I turned it out. Okay, look at the way it looks, and then I ironed on it. Now I'll be placing this. I already notched my midpoint. Okay, so in between the lower part of this collar, I'm placing it right side. All right, just check out, you see that I have the right size, and I placed one under, place the collar in between there before I place the fabric on top again. Then I'll be stitching all the way from this point. Let me just show you. I have to get one side folded up, then fold sew all the way down with one side folded up. All right, this will make it easier for me when I'm stitching on my fabric. So this is how it looks. Okay, once you are done and you have folded in, you have turned it up, you will now go ahead and attach this to your shirt. All right, so I just notched the midpoint of my shirt as well, and then I will ensure that the midpoint of the body of the shirt meets the midpoint of this collar. All right, this will make it easier for me to sew. Now I will be sewing from this point all the way to the end. All right, so let me just do that, then I will show you how it looks. I want to show you how it looks so that you can also see that one side of this collar will be covering the other side. So I'll quickly do this, then once I am done, I will attach the sleeve and then join my shirt, and that's practically all for this shirt. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Stay tuned for more.